What up, y'all? Appreciate you showing up, hanging out, listening to my dumb ass. Like and subscribe. So, I watched Dirt and Sean do the Thug Dizzle, and then they pulled up a clip of Jason Schreier, and I was like, oh, that's interesting. He was talking about Bungie and how Marathon. It's unforgettable. How Marathon is in development hell, right? So then I went and looked up the Skillet Pod. I forgot what his podcast was called, FPS or whatever it's called. So it's like 4 people, two other hosts, Skill Up, and then he had Jason Schreier on there. And I saw the actual clip, unedited. And look, when we say, we as in the Xbox community, tell you ponies and donkey unicorns that Sony overpaid for Bungie, don't take our word for it. Look at what has been bared. What has the Bungie fruit bared? How many Bungie fruits have bared? I'm not even saying it right. You know what I'm trying to say. What has been gained from their acquisition? First, it was like, oh, they're the experts in something. Not too sure what, because they missed their targets 45%. Well, anyway, look. It's known that Bungie overhyped their, evaluation or, their worth to Sony. Sony fell for it. They fell for the banana in the tailpipe. They paid extra, way much more extra. I mean, I know Insomniac is mad as hell, because Insomniac's sitting there like, yo, we got 320 million, I think 350, whatever. We only got 350 million, and these fools got 10 times as much as what 3.6 billion? What the hell? I know Insomniac is hot right now. The seller, whoever owned it before and sold it to, I know that person, I'm not going to say he or she, I don't know who, they are hot because Insomniac was a better purchase than Bungie at 1/10 the price. Anyway, Jason Schreier goes on. Skill Up asks, oi, what's going on with Bungie and Marathon? Right? He's Australian. That's how they talk. Anyway, so Jason Schreier's like, well, he accentuates his S's, let's just say. And then, and Bungie, he just adds S's, whatever. So Jason's talking about, the whole acquisition thing was whatever. They paid way too much. And the whole kind of chasing the games of service, it was crazy. But he's like, the way that he said it, like the things that he said were bad. He said it in a kind of nonchalant, it's not a big deal type of way. He didn't say that exactly, but he just kind of said it matter of fact. He didn't exaggerate it and say, oh my gosh, doom and gloom. He should have, because it is literally that. A company spent way too much money. They spent money they didn't have. They had to borrow that money. And they wasted their borrowed money. Oh my gosh. Look, as the days go on, as time passes, Bungie and Sony and PlayStation, it's not getting any better. The rainbow, there's no rainbow. It's a hurricane coming, and that's all we see is the rain clouds and the storm. The storm shutters ain't up. They don't have no storm shutters. Their roof about to blow off. They in trouble. That's all I'm saying. And Jason Schreier just went in. He went in on them, as a matter of fact. And Skill Up asked him, he's like, oh, what about Concord? They heard it's in development trouble or something. And Jason Schreier laughed. The first noise out his mouth was, ha, 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 ha. Yeah. Just look at all the games and service games that I'm playing. I'm playing the Spider-Man game, the multiplayer game. I'm playing the Last of Us factions. I'm playing all these. I'm playing oh man, it was so. Oh, it was like wow. You see what I'm saying? It's like, look, you can look at someone's behavior. In this case, Sony's behavior, PlayStation's behavior. The former CEO, Jim Ryan, really screwed up PlayStation this generation. He screwed them up so bad. They were literally on top of the world. All they had to do was not what Jim Ryan did. Man, they first of all, they shouldn't have fired Jack Tretton. That's the first thing. Jack Tretton knew what was going on. He's like, yo, we can't do these games no more, blah, blah, blah. And they were like, you out. We getting somebody who could make us money. Jim Ryan was like, ha, 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 ha. He didn't know what he was doing. I said Jack Tretton. I didn't mean Jack Tretton. Jack Tretton was actually a good CEO. I'm talking about Sean Layden. My bad. Sean Layden. And they fired his ass. They kicked his ass out the building. Security, escort, out the building. No, you don't clean out your desk. You got to get out. Ouch. And he's just happily still in their corner for some reason. I don't know why. I don't know. Maybe he's a mole for Sony over in Tencent or wherever the hell he's at right now. Anyway, the point is, even Jason Schreier, who is usually against Xbox and pro PlayStation, he can't deny the facts. The facts are there, boom, right in front of our faces. Everybody's seeing them. And it ain't looking good for PlayStation. It ain't looking good for Sony. You know, Sony is losing money. If PlayStation loses money, Sony loses money. And then they try to, you know, with the whole percentage things, and they're like, oh, the way that they do their percentage as far as their services, they add all of their services. Their streaming, their anime stuff and all. They add the music streaming. They add all that together. So I'm like, all right, y'all want to, okay. And you still don't have as many as over 500 million that Microsoft has. So you could play that game, but you can't play. You out of the, PlayStation is not in the same league as Microsoft. I'm sorry. Sony is not in the same league as Microsoft. Microsoft is killing them. They're killing them so bad, right? That Microsoft said, you know what? I think we need to get into some chips real quick, some ARM. You know, let's start doing our own chip manufacturing. You know how expensive and how long it takes to do chip manufacturing? And Sony does their sensors. I mean, that's a form of chip manufacturing, the sensors, the optical sensors for the cameras and stuff, for basically all cameras. They're not the only one, but they're the major one. And it doesn't take long if someone has the money and says, you know what, I have a better idea, I can do it better and cheaper or whatever, you know, it'll knock them right out. Because how I see it, Sony / PlayStation, they are the type of company to just do the bare minimum to keep it going. And I know most companies are like, you'll get Madden every year, EA, that they do the bare minimum, charge you $60-$70 and keep it moving. You know what I mean? And people buy it because, you know, it's a roster. You're paying for the roster update. Should it be $70? That's on you. If you want to spend $70, boo-boo, then you go right ahead. But not I, said to Steve. You know, I see Sony as that. You know, you look at their hardware. You look at different aspects. You look at how they kind of approach the hardware, not as much as making hardware, but supporting hardware and supporting games as a service games. They don't do these things. And when they have a hit, they mess it up. They stepping on rakes. Remember that, Ryan McCaffrey? Sony stepping on rakes. They're like, yeah, Helldivers 2 is great. Now y'all got to be part of it, and there's a boom right in the face. It's like, why would you do that? Everybody was happy. Everybody was hyping your game, and now they're like, you know what? Forget it. I'm gone. What's the next game coming out? All right, let's go. And that's it. And Helldivers fell off a cliff. Nobody cares anymore. They ruined their own momentum with that bullshit that they trying to do. They try to capitalize on the popularity. Why don't you just make a good game and not be dicks? How about that? Because PC players don't play that. Y'all learned that. But they didn't learn that because Ragnarok's going through the same thing. I don't know if is it out yet? No, I don't think it's out yet. But when it comes out, you have to have a PSN. Blah, blah. Guess what? Less people are gonna play it, or they're gonna pirate it, and then it doesn't matter. They'll find a way to crack it so you don't need to do PSN, and that's all. That's it. That's what's gonna happen. I'm not saying that's what should happen, or I'm not condoning that, but I'm saying that's what's gonna happen. So if you give people a choice to just buy your game and play it, that should be good enough for you. But no, you want to get that PSN. You want to get those MAUs up. But you can't compete with over 500 million. You can't even, there's no way in this generation or the next generation or the next generation after that Sony can catch up to Microsoft's MAUs. It's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. Nope. They can't do it with their streaming music, streaming anime, PlayStation combined, they can't even do it. It's a wrap. It's a wrap. But anyway, so Jason Schreier, he's just going on, and he's telling it like it is, and I'm like, it's about time. I mean, it was only a matter of time because all this bad news that's coming out for Sony, they can't ignore it. Like some fanboy outlets can't ignore it and then talk about everything else except for the fact that Sony is like falling, they're sinking. They're the Titanic. They're sinking slowly. They still playing, but they try to imagine. Let's use our imaginations for a second. How can Sony turn this around? How can they compete with Microsoft's numbers, MAU numbers at least? How? And the funny thing, this is the funniest thing, right? Donkey Unicorns and Ponies always touting, oh, we got more console sales. We the market leader. I'm like, you're not. Because you don't have as many MAUs, but you sold more consoles. So the math ain't mathing. You say you sold 61 point whatever million, right? I'm like, all right. I mean, we all know that number is just sold to stores, not sold through to customers, consumers. We all know that. If you didn't know, I'm telling you, that's how Sony's counting the numbers. Okay, they said that. And they're starting, the reporters and the reporting, they're starting to change the language. They said shifted consoles. I'm like, what? Shifted? You're not even saying sold. You're just saying shifted so that you can say, oh, we didn't say it was sold through, or we didn't misconstrue it or try to, no, whatever. Language is very important. But there's no way that they can catch Microsoft. No way. And Microsoft is only going to get bigger because Game Pass is going to get bigger. Like, regardless of, like, the Candy Crush, the King stuff, the Activision stuff, all Blizzard, the Blizzard subs, all that stuff combined, that's what the number is, right? Besides that, Game Pass will grow because of Call of Duty. This fall is going to be kind of a litmus test of how the growth happens. And you're going to see an increase in growth on the Xbox side, on ABK side, when you're talking about Game Pass. Player count, I mean, I don't know if it'll go up. I don't think so because they count all the players. They count, maybe it'll go up because it's going to come out on the Switch 2. Maybe that'll be next year's Call of Duty. Maybe they'll do some back porting. Maybe Black Ops 6 will come out for the Switch 2 if it comes out in the spring. Well, the rumors is the Switch 2 is supposed to come out in fall of 25. So that'll be in time for the new Call of Duty. So that'd be smart if they did that. If Microsoft, Xbox got them dev kits and built a version of whatever. Is it Gulf War is the next one or something? I don't even know. Black Ops 6 is Gulf War, right? I don't know. I started playing Black Ops 3. That's the one they put in Game Pass, I think. And no, I'm sorry. It's Modern Warfare 3. This is too many. And I was like, yo, this is pretty good. I already talked about this, so I won't do it again. But yeah, it's like there is so much stuff happening. And the funny, I mean, look, I would prefer to talk about games, not talk about how, fanboys and media are twisting their narrative and stuff. But, like Dirt says and like Sean say, they're not talking about the bad news that Sony is going through. Jason Schreier was the first one. And he did it live on a podcast. He didn't do a report. I don't think he did. He might have done a report about it. But no one else is out there. I don't see Porter Rock talking about, doom and gloom for PlayStation. I mean, I'm sure he had his opinions about the Bungie and the whole thing and how much they paid and all that stuff. Because he does admit that Sony isn't all that shiny sometimes. I haven't listened to him in a while, so, he's not an idiot, but he does say some foolish things sometimes. It's the nature of the pony. What are you going to do? I think he's more of a donkey unicorn. But anyway, it's like I said last video, I said look at each corporation, look at each entity, look at each console manufacturer and say, okay, this is their game plan, this is their game plan, this is their game plan. This is Sony's game plan, PlayStation. This is Microsoft's game plan, Xbox, Blizzard King, whatever. And this is Nintendo's game plan. Whose game plan seems like it makes sense. You know what I'm saying? Sony's is like, they don't have one. I mean, they have one internally, obviously, but they're not telling us, because if they told us, then we would be like, that's it? Really? Is that you're just going to put out games? Huh? When? Oh, by 2030? They're so far behind. It's going to take them a whole generation. I would say the rest of this generation and part of next generation for them to come up. Or here's the other thing that would probably happen. This generation is done for PlayStation. Like saying, oh, PlayStation 1, PlayStation 1. No. I'm talking about games. They might shift their game production from whatever they're working on now. That's going to be next generations. If the PlayStation 5 Pro comes out, Sony is in so much trouble. If that comes out, it's going to delay their progress into the future. It's holding them back into the PlayStation 4, because the PlayStation 5 Pro is just a shinier PlayStation 4 Pro. You understand? It's just going to give you better performance, but it's not going to give you anything extra. The pisser technology, how good is that? Is it comparable to what's already out? Is it comparable to Auto SR? Because it seems to me, from the first iteration of Auto SR, seems like it works real good according to Digital Foundry, even though they're whatever. And that's the first version. They're going to iterate on it. It's going to get better and better and better. By the time the next gen comes out, 2026, the next Xbox comes out, Auto SR might be on 3. I'd say at least 2. But I would say, let's pretend that Auto SR 3 is coming out with the next generation of Xboxes, right? It's a, come on, son. That's why Queen of Xbox, Sarah Bond, said, yes, the most technological boopity boopity boop jump boop boop boop. Because they're literally putting an extra brain in there. The NPC. Yeah. NPU, sorry. NPC. See what happens? The NPU. And that's going to handle the Auto SR, and, you know, depending on how they do it, maybe some other things. You know, maybe it'll help in ray tracing. I don't think so, because the NPU is really just AI. But maybe it can help in some of the path tracing stuff. Maybe it can make it more accurate. I mean, I really don't know what the limits are with the MPU. And I don't think anyone knows yet, because it's just like early going. So it's like, okay, imagine if those MPUs get real powerful. And yeah, sure, they do the Auto SR. They handle, you know, the upscaling of resolutions. They handle that so that you can have better frame rates. So the GPU handles the frame rates, the NPU handles the resolution, right? And then you say, okay, well, maybe there's a secondary NPU that's doing ray tracing functions. So hardware, I mean, usually that's a function of the GPU portion of the APU, I would say, for these consoles. Maybe they change it and it's not an APU. Maybe there's a CPU and a GPU, although that would be less efficient, I think, because the time it takes for it to go from chip to chip would cause, I don't want to say latency, but it adds milliseconds to the operations. So technically it is latency. But I don't know how efficient APUs are versus a CPU and GPU. I mean, heat-wise, I think it's more efficient, yes. So I guess that's probably why they went with that. But I know the NPU is going to be a separate chip, separate silicon on the board. So what's to say that they can't do maybe chiplets of NPUs? My brain is like, right now we're at the cusp. We're at the beginning of this whole AI chipset kind of, I don't want to say revolution, but movement. And Microsoft is leading the charge. And from what they showed, just the first thing they showed is like, it works. It just works. Let's go. And that's what you want. I said it in the last video. You want devs to be like, click this button, boom, it works. You don't got to worry about it. Do a 720p game. Put your frames up to how you want it. Let's go. And that's the dream. You know, that's how the PlayStation 4 was so successful, because they had the checkerboard rendering, even though it made stuff look kind of weird. It helped performance. You know, because the PlayStation 4 Pro was not as powerful as the Xbox Series One X. And so, little tricks like that help performance. And now, since that is the norm, and now the AI is helping it and making it even better than it was before, all the consoles are going to do it. So, I mean, look, you can probably still do native 4K, but who wants? Not a lot of people care about that stuff. Casuals, they don't buy these consoles for graphics and stuff. They just want to play whatever games, right? They're still playing on PS4 and Xbox One. So, and Microsoft's looking at these numbers. Sony's looking at it. Sony's not doing what Microsoft is doing, but Sony realizes it. I don't know what they're gonna do. I mean, if they follow their plan, whatever, I don't think it's gonna work out for them. But Microsoft does what I think they're gonna do, then it's gonna be pretty tight. I think it's gonna work. It's gonna be cool. It's gonna be a seat change. Anyway, appreciate y'all hanging out. Y'all like and subscribe. Hit me in the comments. Let me know what you think about that Jason Schreier commentary. Go watch the clips on Twitter, or just watch it on YouTube. And yeah, what y'all ponies think about that? What do you think about your boy Jason Schreier throwing y'all under the bus, driving over you, and driving backing up again, then driving forward, back and forth a couple times? What do you think about that? Anyway, that's all I got for today. I appreciate y'all, and I catch y'all on the next one. Till the wait.